Space has always been a source of endless wonder and fascination. From ancient times, when humans first looked up at the stars and imagined gods and monsters moving across the night sky, to our current age of telescopes and satellites, the cosmos has continued to challenge our understanding. For all our technology, for all the equations and models we use to describe the universe, the truth is there is still so much we do not understand. And sometimes, what we find out there doesn't just surprise us, it unsettles us. With each new mission, with each new telescope launched into orbit or stationed in the deserts of Earth, we learn more. But occasionally, we stumble upon something so strange, so far outside what we expect, that it forces scientists to pause, rethink, and ask questions they never imagined needing to ask. Sometimes space doesn't just whisper secrets, it shouts them. And the echoes leave behind only questions. Among the many marvels we've discovered, few are as surreal as a planet named WASP-76b, located about 640 light-years from Earth. This planet was discovered in 2016 and is roughly the size of Jupiter. But unlike Jupiter, or anything in our solar system, WASP-76b is a true nightmare of physics. It's tidally locked, which means one side of the planet permanently faces its star, basking in non-stop, searing daylight, while the other side remains in an eternal night. On the day side, the temperatures reach upwards of 2,350 degrees Celsius, or about 4,300 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to vaporize metals, yes, even iron. That iron doesn't just stay in the atmosphere. Carried by the planet's violent winds, it moves toward the cooler, dark side of the planet, where it cools, condenses, and rains back down as molten iron falling from the sky. It's a terrifying image, a world where it's so hot that metal turns into gas and is swept around the globe before crashing back down in fiery droplets. But even that isn't the end of WASP-76b's mysteries. Observations from a satellite known as KIOP recently detected something called a glory effect right where the day side meets the night side of the planet. This optical effect is usually seen on Earth when light reflects off clouds of water, droplets, creating rainbow-like halos. Seeing it on an alien world suggests there may be uniform spherical particles in its atmosphere, possibly indicating some bizarre and unknown atmospheric processes. Every time we look closer, it seems WASP-76b becomes stranger. Yet, for all its extremes, WASP-76b is still just a planet. What if we told you there's a planet out there that used to be a star? One that no longer burns with fusion, but instead shimmers like a cosmic jewel. That's exactly the case with PSRJ 17191438b. This exoplanet is in orbit around a neutron star type of stellar remnant so dense that a single teaspoon of its material would weigh billions of tons on Earth. This particular neutron star is also a millisecond pulsar, spinning rapidly and releasing beams of radiation every 5.4 milliseconds, thousands of times a second. Orbiting this pulsar is something that should not exist, a planet made mostly of crystalline carbon. In other words, a diamond. This planet is the dense remnant of what was once a star. At some point in its life, its companion pulsar stripped away its outer layers through gravitational interaction. What was left behind was the carbon-rich core of the star, which eventually became compressed into a planet-sized diamond. The entire system is so compact that it could easily fit within the radius of our own sun. The planet's mass is about 1.2 times that of Jupiter, yet it's small, possibly only 12,000 kilometers wide. A dense, dark, spinning relic of a dead star shimmering in the depths of space. The fact that it even exists defies logic. A former star that now orbits a collapsed stellar corpse, locked in an eternal, silent dance. Further away, in a lonely corner of space, astronomers discovered something equally eerie, a galaxy that seems to have been forgotten by time. In 2018, while observing a star cluster with the Hubble Space Telescope, scientists noticed a dim smudge of light in the background. That faint glow turned out to be a galaxy now known as Bettan I. It lies roughly 30 million light-years from Earth, placing it within the outskirts of our own galactic neighborhood. But its defining feature is not its location, it's its isolation. Bettan I is approximately 3,000 light-years across, making it a dwarf galaxy. But unlike other dwarf galaxies, this one is alone. It floats about 2 million light-years away from any other large galaxy. In cosmic terms, that's a huge distance, enough that Bettan I has likely gone and touched by gravitational interactions for billions of years. It is estimated to be around 13 billion years old as the universe itself. Because it has remained so isolated, it hasn't undergone the collisions or star formation spurts that most galaxies experience. It has simply existed in silence. For instance, it is a ghost of the early universe, a relic untouched by time. A fossil galaxy, and we might never have found it, had a telescope not just happened to glance in its direction. Then there are the phenomena that are even harder to explain. In 2019, scientists participating in a massive international project to map the southern sky stumbled upon something truly strange. While reviewing radio telescope data, astronomer Anna Kapinska noticed an unusual formation, an enormous, faint, circular ring of radio waves. It had no visible light, no infrared emissions, no X-rays. It was just there, a ghostly ring floating in space. It looked like a smoke ring, and it was labeled Object WTF. Within days, more were found. Another astronomer on the team identified a second, then a third, then a fourth. These became known as Orksod radio circles. Each one was vast, symmetrical, and completely baffling. They were about 1 arcminute in diameter, which doesn't sound like much, but in cosmic terms, that can represent hundreds of thousands of light-years depending on their distance. And yet, despite intense scrutiny, no one could figure out what they were. They didn't match the appearance or profile of supernova remnants. They weren't planetary nebulae. They weren't galaxies viewed from a strange angle. They weren't Einstein rings caused by gravitational lensing. Every likely explanation failed. Some ORCs have a galaxy located at their center, others do not. 3 look like bright-edged rings, while one appears to be a glowing disk. They are only visible in the radio spectrum. Point an optical telescope at them and you'll see nothing at all. The EMU project team double-checked everything. They ruled out software glitches, imaging artifacts, and every known astrophysical source. The rings were real, but they were unlike anything astronomers had ever seen before. As of now, only 4 ORCs have been identified. The fact that they are so rare and yet so clear in shape and structure only deepens the mystery. What creates them? Are they the remnants of massive energy releases from ancient events? Are they some unknown kind of galaxy, hidden in wavelengths we don't usually look at? Are they signals of something else entirely? No one knows. They are there, floating in the void, daring us to solve the puzzle we weren't prepared to find. What makes these discoveries so compelling is not just how strange they are, it's what they suggest about how little we really know. Our telescopes are now powerful enough to detect things that were completely invisible to us just a decade ago. And as our technology improves, the universe isn't getting more predictable, it's getting weirder. Every discovery seems to whisper, "You see nothing yet." A telescope once pointed at a seemingly empty patch of sky, a patch so small it could be covered by the ionodyne held at arm's length. In that tiny void, astronomers found over 3,000 galaxies, each containing billions of stars. That's the kind of universe we live in, vast, incomprehensible, and full of surprises. Some of those surprises challenge our physics, others challenge our imagination. But the biggest ones, the truly unexplained ones, they change us. Because they remind us that we are still at the beginning of this journey. So what else is out there waiting to be seen? How many more molten worlds, diamond planets, fossil galaxies, and ghost rings are drifting through the darkness? And are we ready for what comes next?